My stepmom drugged my dinner, so I swapped our plates when she wasn't looking. If you're just tuning in, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update on this story. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned for more. The dinner table gleamed under the chandelier's warm light, each place setting arranged with military precision. Steam rose from the ceramic dishes, carrying the aroma of honey-glazed salmon and roasted vegetables throughout the spacious dining room. To any outsider peering through the bay windows, this would appear to be the picture of domestic bliss, a successful family sharing an evening meal. But appearances, as they often do, deceived. The 17-year-old girl seated at the far end of the mahogany table had learned to read the subtle signs that others missed. The way her stepmother's manicured fingers drummed against her wine glass. The forced brightness in her voice when she spoke about trivial matters. The calculating glances she thought no one noticed. "Olivia, sweetheart, you've barely touched your food," Celeste's voice carried across the table, honeyed and concerned. Her stepmother's smile was perfect, practiced, camera-ready, and hollow as a broken promise. Olivia pushed the salmon around her plate with her fork, her stomach churning with an uneasiness she couldn't name. Something felt wrong tonight, more wrong than usual. The air itself seemed thick with unspoken tensions, and Celeste's behavior had been stranger than normal all week. "I'm not really hungry," Olivia replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Her father, Austin, looked up from his phone for the first time since they'd sat down. "You need to eat, baby girl. Your stepmother spent all afternoon preparing this meal." His tone carried the weight of expectation, the same voice he used in boardroom meetings when discussion was over and compliance was required. Olivia's eyes met Celeste's across the table, and for a fleeting moment she saw something predatory flash in her stepmother's gaze before it disappeared behind another perfect smile. The house felt different after her father remarried. What once had been Olivia's sanctuary, a place filled with her mother's laughter and warmth, had transformed into something cold and calculated. Celeste had moved in with surgical precision, replacing family photos with abstract art, covering her mother's favorite armchair with a designer throw, and slowly but systematically erasing traces of the woman who had raised Olivia for the first 15 years of her life. Olivia remembered the funeral 2 years ago, how Celeste had appeared at the reception like a vulture circling wounded prey. She'd been her father's colleague, then, offering comfort and support during his darkest hour. Within 6 months they were dating. Within a year married. Now, as Olivia sat across from this woman who had infiltrated her family, she couldn't shake the feeling that tonight's dinner was more than just another awkward family meal. Celeste had been asking strange questions lately, about Olivia's sleep schedule, her after-school activities, her weekend plans. Questions that seemed innocent enough but felt loaded with hidden meaning. "Olivia, I noticed you've been having trouble sleeping lately," Celeste said, cutting into her salmon with deliberate precision. "I picked up some natural sleep aids from the health store. They might help you get the rest you need." The fork in Olivia's hand trembled slightly. She had never mentioned having trouble sleeping. In fact, she slept perfectly fine, when she wasn't lying awake wondering what her stepmother was planning. "I sleep fine," Olivia said, meeting Celeste's gaze directly. "Of course you do, sweetheart. But growing girls need their rest. These supplements are completely natural. Valerian root, chamomile, a few other herbs." Celeste's smile never wavered. "I've already added some to your dinner. You won't even taste them." Olivia's blood ran cold. Her stepmother had just admitted to drugging her food as casually as discussing the weather. Olivia's mind raced as she stared at her plate, her appetite completely gone. Every instinct screamed danger, but she forced herself to remain calm. Years of living with her father's volatile temper had taught her to mask her emotions, to think before reacting. "That's so thoughtful of you," Olivia said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I really appreciate you looking out for me." Celeste's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. She had expected resistance, not gratitude. "Of course, dear. Family takes care of family." Austin, oblivious to the undercurrent of tension, continued scrolling through his phone. "That's my girl. See how much your stepmother cares about you." Olivia nodded, then stood from her chair. "I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back." As she walked toward the hallway, Olivia's mind worked frantically. She needed to get back to that dining room before Celeste became suspicious, but she also needed a plan. The bathroom was directly across from the dining room, giving her a perfect view of the table through the partially open door. She watched as Celeste leaned over to whisper something in Austin's ear. He laughed, completely unaware that his wife was discussing his daughter's drugged meal. Olivia's hands clenched into fists as rage bubbled up inside her chest. When she returned to the dining room, Olivia had made her decision. She would play Celeste's game, but with her own rules. "Sorry about that," Olivia said, retaking her seat. "I'm feeling much better now." She waited for the perfect moment. When Celeste excused herself to check on dessert and Austin stepped outside to take a business call. In the 60 seconds she had alone, Olivia swapped their plates with lightning speed, her heart pounding so hard she was certain it would give her away. When Celeste returned with a tray of chocolate mousse, Olivia was eating contentedly from what had been her stepmother's untainted meal. Olivia forced herself to eat slowly, savoring each bite while watching Celeste from the corner of her eye. Her stepmother had returned to the table with renewed confidence, clearly expecting the drugs to take effect soon. She kept glancing at Olivia, waiting for signs of drowsiness or disorientation. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" Celeste asked, her voice dripping with false concern. "You look a little tired." "I feel great actually," Olivia replied, taking another bite of salmon. "This is really delicious. You're such an amazing cook." A flicker of confusion crossed Celeste's features. According to her calculations, Olivia should have been showing signs of the sedatives by now. She picked up her own fork and began eating more aggressively, as if trying to hurry the process along. Austin returned from his phone call, sliding back into his chair with a satisfied expression. "Deal's closed. We're looking at a 7-figure contract." He raised his wine glass in a toast. "To family and success." Olivia clinked her glass against his, watching as Celeste's movements became slightly sluggish. Her stepmother's eyelids were beginning to droop, and she kept blinking rapidly as if trying to clear her vision. "Are you feeling all right, honey?" Austin asked his wife, noticing her strange behavior. "Just tired," Celeste mumbled, her words slightly slurred. "Long day at work." Olivia bit back a smile. The irony was delicious, literally. She continued eating her dinner, occasionally glancing at Celeste, who was now struggling to hold her head up straight. "Maybe you should lie down," Olivia suggested innocently. "You look exhausted." Celeste's eyes snapped to Olivia's face, and for a moment clarity returned. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The girl was supposed to be unconscious by now, not sitting there looking perfectly alert and concerned. The realization hit Celeste like a physical blow. Somehow Olivia had figured out her plan. Celeste's world tilted as the sedatives coursed through her system. She gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white with effort, trying to maintain her composure. Olivia sat across from her, calmly finishing her meal, her dark eyes holding a glimmer of something that chilled Celeste to her core. Intelligence, awareness, and perhaps most dangerous of all, knowledge. "I think I need to go upstairs," Celeste said, pushing back from the table. Her legs felt like jelly, and speaking required tremendous concentration. "Let me help you," Olivia offered, standing immediately. The girl's solicitousness was almost mocking in its perfection. Austin, still buried in his phone, barely looked up. "Olivia, make sure she gets to bed safely. She's been working too hard lately." As Olivia supported Celeste's weight, helping her navigate the stairs, the older woman's mind raced despite the fog of medication. How had the girl known? How long had she been suspicious? And most importantly, what did she plan to do with this information? "You clever little bitch," Celeste whispered, her inhibitions lowered by the drugs. "You knew." "I figured it out," Olivia replied quietly, her voice steady and calm. "The question is, what were you planning to do once I was unconscious?" They reached the master bedroom and Olivia helped Celeste to the bed. Her stepmother's eyes were barely staying open, but she fought against the sedatives, desperate to understand how her carefully laid plans had been discovered. "Why?" Olivia asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. "What did I ever do to you?" Celeste's laugh was bitter and weak. "You exist. You're a reminder of her, of everything I'll never be to your father. You're in my way." The honesty was brutal, but Olivia had suspected as much. She had seen the way Celeste looked at her father's grief, how she had positioned herself as the perfect replacement for Olivia's mother. "What were you going to do to me?" Olivia pressed. But Celeste's eyes had finally closed. the sedatives winning their battle against her consciousness. Olivia sat in the darkness of her stepmother's bedroom, listening to Celeste's labored breathing. The woman who had tried to drug her was now completely unconscious, vulnerable in a way that Olivia had never seen before. She could have felt triumphant, but instead she felt hollow and afraid. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend Zara. "Movie night still on for tomorrow?" Olivia stared at the message, realizing how far removed her reality had become from normal teenage concerns. While her friends worried about homework and crushes, she was dealing with a stepmother who had tried to incapacitate her for unknown but clearly sinister purposes. She decided to search Celeste's belongings while she had the chance. The woman's purse sat on the vanity, and Olivia's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside, she found a small bottle of what appeared to be sleeping pills, but the label had been removed. There was also a folded piece of paper with an address written in Celeste's careful handwriting. Olivia's blood ran cold as she recognized the address. It was for a private psychiatric facility about 2 hours away, the kind of place where wealthy families sent their difficult children to disappear. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Celeste hadn't been planning to simply drug her once. She had been building a case for Olivia's instability, gathering evidence to have her committed. The sleeping pills were just the first step in a larger plan to remove Olivia from her father's life permanently. Olivia's hands shook as she photographed the address and the pill bottle with her phone. She needed evidence, but more importantly, she needed to figure out how to protect herself from a woman who was clearly more dangerous than she had imagined. A sound from downstairs made her freeze. Her father was moving around, probably wondering where everyone had gone. Olivia quickly returned everything to Celeste's purse and slipped out of the bedroom, her mind racing with the implications of what she had discovered. Olivia crept down the stairs, her heart hammering against her ribs. Austin was in the kitchen, cleaning up the dinner dishes with his usual methodical efficiency. He looked up as she entered, his expression mildly curious. "Where's Celeste?" he asked, loading plates into the dishwasher. "She went to bed early. Said she wasn't feeling well," Olivia replied, trying to keep her voice neutral. "I think she might be coming down with something." Austin nodded, already losing interest. "She's been pushing herself too hard at work. I keep telling her to take it easy, but you know how she is." Olivia watched her father's face, searching for any sign that he might be aware of his wife's true nature. But Austin had always been willfully blind to unpleasant truths, especially when they threatened his carefully constructed world. "Dad," Olivia said carefully, "what do you know about Celeste's work?" "She's a pharmaceutical sales representative," Austin replied without looking up. "Makes good money, travels a lot." "Why?" The pieces were falling into place with terrifying clarity. Celeste had access to drugs, knowledge of their effects, and the professional connections to make Olivia's disappearance look legitimate. He had been planning this for months, maybe longer. Olivia's phone buzzed with another text from Zara. "You okay? You've been weird all week." For the first time since dinner, Olivia smiled. Zara had always been perceptive, and right now Olivia needed an ally who wasn't blinded by Celeste's carefully constructed facade. "I'm going to call Zara," Olivia told her father. "We're working on a project together." Austin waved her away, already absorbed in his phone again. Olivia climbed the stairs to her room, her mind formulating a plan. She couldn't confront Celeste directly. The woman was too smart, too careful. But she could gather evidence, build a case of her own. As she dialed Zara's number, Olivia realized that tonight had been a turning point. The scared, confused girl who had sat down to dinner was gone, replaced by someone harder, more calculating. Celeste had created her own worst enemy. Zara arrived at Olivia's house within 20 minutes, her worried expression deepening as Olivia explained the evening's events. They sat on Olivia's bedroom floor, the evidence spread out between them like pieces of a disturbing puzzle. "This is insane," Zara whispered, staring at the photo of the psychiatric facility address. "You're telling me she was planning to have you committed?" "Think about it," Olivia said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was suggesting. "She's been documenting everything, my mood swings, my defiant behavior, my problems adjusting to the new family dynamic. She's been building a paper trail to make me look unstable." Zara picked up Olivia's phone, scrolling through the photos of evidence. "We need to take this to the police." "And tell them what?" That my stepmother put something in my food that I can't prove, and I found an address in her purse? They'll think I'm the unstable one. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation settling over them. Olivia had uncovered a conspiracy that went far deeper than a simple case of family dysfunction. Celeste had been systematically planning to eliminate her from Austin's life, and she had the resources and connections to make it happen. What if we recorded her? Zara suggested. Got her to admit what she was planning? Olivia considered this. She's going to be suspicious now. She knows something went wrong tonight. Then we need to be smarter than she is, Zara said, her jaw set with determination. If she's been planning this for months, we can plan our own response. Olivia looked at her best friend, feeling a surge of gratitude. In a world where her own father couldn't see the danger right in front of him, Zara's loyalty was a lifeline. There's something else, Olivia said. I think she might have done this before. The way she moved into our lives, how quickly she married my dad, it all feels too calculated to be her first time. Zara's eyes widened. You think she's done this to other families? I think we need to find out. The next morning, Olivia woke to find Celeste already gone. According to Austin, she had left early for a business trip, claiming she needed to clear her head after feeling sick the previous evening. Olivia knew better. Celeste was regrouping, planning her next move. Olivia and Zara spent the day researching, using every resource available to them. Social media, public records, and Zara's older brother's hacking skills helped them piece together Celeste's history. What they discovered was more disturbing than either of them had imagined. Celeste Morrison had been married twice before. Her first husband, a wealthy businessman named David Chin, had died in a car accident just 2 years after their wedding. His teenage daughter from his first marriage had been committed to a psychiatric facility 3 months before his death, following what family friends described as a complete mental breakdown. The second husband, Robert Harrison, had suffered a fatal heart attack. His young son had been sent to live with relatives after displaying increasingly erratic behavior that required professional intervention. She's done this before, Olivia breathed, staring at the computer screen. She marries widowers with children, gets rid of the kids, and then what? Zara asked, though they both suspected the answer. Olivia's phone rang, interrupting their research. It was her father. Olivia, I need you to come home immediately. Austin's voice was tight with tension. We need to talk. Olivia's stomach dropped. Celeste had made her move. Dad, what's wrong? Just come home. Now. The line went dead. Olivia looked at Zara, fear replacing the determination that had carried her through the morning. She's back, Olivia said. And she's told my dad something that's made him believe her over me. Zara grabbed her car keys. Then we're going to prove her wrong. As they drove toward Olivia's house, both girls knew that the real battle was just beginning. Celeste had experience, resources, and the advantage of Austin's trust. But Olivia had something her stepmother didn't expect: the truth and the determination to expose it. Olivia's house felt like a courtroom as she and Zara entered the living room. Austin sat rigidly in his leather chair, his face a mask of disappointment and anger. Celeste was beside him on the couch, her performance flawless, red-rimmed eyes, trembling hands, the picture of a woman who had been deeply hurt. Sit down, Olivia, Austin said, his voice cold in a way she hadn't heard since her mother's funeral. Dad, whatever she told you. She told me about your drug problem, Austin interrupted. About how you've been stealing her prescription medication, how you tried to poison her last night. Olivia's world tilted. Celeste had turned the entire situation around, making herself the victim and Olivia the dangerous, unstable child. It was brilliant and it was working. That's not true, Olivia said, but her voice sounded weak even to her own ears. I found the sleeping pills in your room, Celeste said, her voice breaking with manufactured emotion. I was so worried about you, but I never imagined you would try to hurt me. Zara stepped forward. Mr. Johnson, Olivia called me last night. She was scared because... Zara, I think you should go home, Austin said firmly. This is a family matter. No, Olivia said, finding her strength. Zara stays. And I have something to show you. She pulled out her phone, her hands steady despite the chaos around her. Dad, I need you to look at this. Really look at it. She showed him the research they had compiled, the photos of Celeste's previous husbands, the documentation of what had happened to their children, the pattern that was impossible to ignore. Austin's face went pale as he scrolled through the evidence. Celeste lunged for the phone, but Zara blocked her path. "This is insane," Celeste protested. "She's making this up, Austin. Can't you see she's having a breakdown?" But Austin was no longer listening to his wife. He was staring at a photo of David Chen's daughter, a girl who looked remarkably like Olivia, who had been committed to the same facility whose address Olivia had found in Celeste's purse. "You tried to drug my daughter," Austin said, his voice deadly quiet. "Austin, please. Get out of my house," he said, standing slowly. "Get out now before I call the police." Celeste's mask finally slipped, revealing the cold calculation underneath. "You'll regret this, Austin. Both of you." As she gathered her things and left, Olivia felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. They had won, but the victory felt hollow. The woman who had tried to destroy her family was gone, but the scars would remain. Austin pulled Olivia into a hug, and for the first time in 2 years, she felt safe in her father's arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't see what was right in front of me." Olivia held him tightly, knowing that healing would take time, but grateful that they finally had the chance to try. The perfect family facade was gone, but perhaps they could build something real in its place.